Netflix's Bridgerton is one of those rare shows that already had its future mapped out. It's built on a clear structure where each season follows one of the 8 Bridgerton siblings on their path to love. That format definitely brings consistency and a whole lot of romance, but it also has a downside. Because the focus is so tightly fixed on the siblings, some of the other incredible characters, especially the unsung heroes, get pushed to the sidelines. And one of the biggest casualties of this setup is Violet Bridgerton. So far, we've followed Daphne, Anthony, and Colin as they each found their matches and navigated their complicated love stories. But there are still 5 Bridgerton siblings: Benedict, Eloise, Francesca, Hyacinth, and Gregory, waiting for their turn in spotlight. That leaves quite a bit of ground to cover in the seasons ahead. But Bridgerton has always had a pretty big cast. It's not just the Bridgerton kids we're keeping up with. There's the Featheringtons, Queen Charlotte, Lady Danbury, and several other families in the social circle of the time. Trying to juggle all these characters while staying true to the main romantic arc is tricky. And honestly, it sometimes shows. Because the show tries to do so much, not every character gets the attention they deserve. Some are overshadowed, some are simply forgotten. And even though Bridgerton wouldn't be the same without them, it looks like this trend will probably continue as the show moves forward. Now, when it comes to underrated characters, Violet Bridgerton is a standout. She's the matriarch of the family, the glue that holds all the siblings together, and one of the most grounded voices in the entire show. She's not just a background figure doling out motherly advice. She actually plays a huge emotional role in helping her children navigate love and loss. Sure, she makes mistakes, just like everyone else, but her heart is always in the right place. Season 3, in particular, gave Violet a bit more room to shine. With Daphne more or less out of the picture, Violet stepped in to provide those warm, guiding moments we used to get from her eldest daughter. Like when Colin realizes he's in love with Penelope, Violet reminds him of the way she and his father, Edmund, grew into love after starting out as close friends. It's a beautiful moment that shows just how deeply Violet understands romance, not just as a mother, but as someone who's lived through it herself. She also tries to help Francesca with her own romantic struggles, sensing that her connection with John Sterling might not be as emotionally rich as it should be. These quiet contributions make it clear that Violet is essential. But even though she plays such a big part in keeping the emotional core of Bridgerton intact, she's not getting a season of her own, and probably never will. That's the real shame. The series is locked into its pattern of focusing on the Bridgerton kids. And while that makes sense from a storytelling standpoint, it means Violet's incredible story is left untold. Her relationship with Edmund was clearly transformative, and it's the foundation she's built her parenting and her advice on. We get glimpses of this in the current timeline, but we've never actually seen how she and Edmund fell in love. There's a simple solution to this: give Violet her own spin-off. It worked for Queen Charlotte. That prequel let us see how Charlotte and King George came together, and it added a lot of emotional depth to her character in the main series. A similar spin-off for Violet could do the same. Take us back to her younger years, show how she met Edmund, and let us watch their romance unfold. It wouldn't even have to disrupt the main show, since it would be set years before the events of Bridgerton. New actors, a different time period, but still connected to the same rich universe. It would fill in the emotional gaps and give Violet the spotlight she deserves. Because even if she's not the main character of Bridgerton, she's a lot closer to being its emotional backbone than most people realize. That said, part of the magic of Bridgerton lies in the way the focus shifts each season. Instead of following one protagonist the whole time, the show allows viewers to dive deep into a different sibling's love life each year. It keeps things fresh and gives fans something to look forward to. But that rotating spotlight also means characters who were central in one season often fade into the background in the next. And that's already started to become a bit of a problem. Look at Simon and Daphne. After season 1, Simon completely disappeared, and Daphne only popped up here and there. Season 2 gave us Anthony and Kate, but they were barely present in season 3. And reports say they'll have limited appearances in season 4 too. These characters were the heart of their seasons, so it's frustrating when they vanish with barely a mention, like Daphne missing both Colin and Francesca's weddings. That just doesn't make sense, especially when she was such a big part of the earlier storylines. Simon's absence is understandable since rege-jean Paige chose not to return, but that doesn't explain why Daphne, Anthony, and Kate are so scarce. The show doesn't give a strong reason for their absences, and it's something fans are starting to notice. Hopefully, Season 4 will address this problem instead of continuing the pattern. Interestingly, there's some hope that Bridgerton is starting to break this cycle, thanks to Colin and Penelope. Unlike past couples, it looks like these two will remain central characters even after their big season. For one thing, Penelope is Lady Whistledown. She's been stirring up drama and driving major plot lines since the very beginning, so it wouldn't make sense for her to suddenly disappear. And Colin? His actor, Luke Newton, hasn't blown up in quite the same way as some of the other Bridgerton leads, which makes it easier for him to keep returning. This could be great news for the series overall. If Colin and Penelope stay involved in Season 4, Bridgerton could finally explore what happens after the wedding, something it's mostly ignored up to now. We get to see them as a married couple, maybe even as parents, dealing with new challenges and growth. That kind of storytelling would bring more depth and variety to the show, especially since most seasons wrap up the romance neatly and then move on. And if the show wants to stay fresh and emotionally engaging, it's going to need that. Because here's the thing, if every season ends with a big wedding and then tosses the couple aside, audiences will eventually check out. There's only so many times that formula can play out before people start to lose interest. Imagine watching all the siblings find love, only for their stories to disappear into the background one by one. By the time we get a Hyacinth or Gregory, the series might feel completely disconnected from the characters viewers once loved. That's why it's so important for Bridgerton to balance its rotating romantic leads with continuity. Bringing characters back, giving them ongoing storylines, or letting them mentor the younger siblings would help keep the world of the show alive and interconnected. And it's not just about the Bridgertons themselves. Penelope, for example, has been a central figure all along. As Lady Whistledown, she's the hidden force behind many of the show's twists and turns. Her story has always been intertwined with the Bridgertons, through friendship, through romance, and through scandal. In the books, Penelope might have seemed like a side character early on, just a shy girl crushing on her best friend's brother. But the show has made her much more than that. Season 3 gave her and Colin the spotlight they deserved, and now that they've had their romantic moment, it would be a mistake to push them aside too quickly. At the end of the day, Bridgerton is strongest when it remembers that romance doesn't stop at the wedding. Life goes on, and relationships grow and evolve. If the show leans into that and gives its characters, especially ones like Violet, the time and space to fully shine, it could keep captivating audiences for many seasons to come. And that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.